Hey everyone, it's me Tim from FTA Adventures, and today I want to talk about my 5 favorite national parks for motorcycle riding. As some of you may know, I just got done riding to all the national parks in the lower 48. So I've seen all of them, and I definitely have a few favorites, a few that I think were worth skipping over. But today we're going to focus on my 5 favorite national parks for motorcycle riding. Stick around. So if you've been watching this channel for a while, you probably already know I'm a huge fan of the national park system in the United States. I think it really captures some of the most beautiful parts of this country, some incredible history, and just some really neat features of the United States. I think that they're absolutely perfect to incorporate into a motorcycle trip, whether it be a long weekend trip to one of your local national parks or a summer trip where you go to all the national parks. They all have their own special features, and each one is special in its own unique way. I tried to pick 5 that were different from each other and captured different elements of types of terrain you could find in North America. And so in no specific order, national park number 1 on my 5 favorites list is Death Valley. I think this is an absolute perfect cross-section of a desert environment. Death Valley is so often overlooked. It's an incredibly harsh environment. There's only short windows of time you can really visit the park safely, as the temperatures do get up well over 120 degrees in the summer. But I've been there several times in the winter and even in some of the hotter months. The colors in this park are absolutely stunning. The features in geology and rock formations, sandstone. It's just an incredible place with so much to offer, whether you enjoy sticking to the pavement or you like venturing off down some dirt roads. It's got everything. One of my favorite sections of the park is Titus Canyon. It's actually part of the CABDR, the California Backcountry Discovery Route. So otherworldly, and I think this park just has so much to offer for anybody. Hiking, camping, riding, on-road, off-road, it's got it all, even some ghost towns. But I think the number one feature that draws me to Death Valley, other than the wide open spaces, is the colors. It's just astounding. A lot of people think of the desert and they think of just bland, boring scenery. Death Valley will absolutely disprove that logic. It is just stunning, and especially if you happen to catch it when there's wildflowers in bloom. There's a lot of gains and decreases in elevation. Of course, you can get down to sea level there, but there's also mountain passes that are absolutely gorgeous. So Death Valley, National Park number 1. Now the second national park on my 5 favorites is going to be Olympic National Park up in Washington State. Now, I like this one because this is one of the few places you can see a temperate rainforest in the United States. So that's not tropical, that's more of an evergreen rainforest, but it's so lush and beautiful. There's endless waterfalls and rivers, and not only that, but you can get some of that and also some beautiful snow-capped mountains up by Hurricane Ridge. Hurricane Ridge is gorgeous, and if you go up there, you're almost guaranteed to see wildlife, whether it be deer, baby deer, all kinds of stuff up there. And not to mention that, but there's beautiful rocky coastline, which I absolutely love. The coastline up there on the 101 is just gorgeous. So pretty much that whole loop right around the park, you're on the 101. There's a beautiful ferry ride you can take to get into Seattle. This park has one of my favorite features to a national park, and that is beautiful water. It's just endless. The waterfalls, the rivers, the little secret nooks and crannies. That place is like something straight out of a fairy tale. So Olympic National Park, if you've never been, this should definitely be on your bucket list. Okay, and number 3, this one I think is kind of the quintessential mountain picturesque, almost like it belongs on a puzzle or a calendar. I think this just perfectly captures those really tall mountain peaks and just beautiful mountainous scenery, and that is going to be Glacier National Park. Glacier is up in Montana, and it's got some crystal clear lakes with these colored pebbles that are just stunning. It's got a huge river raging through it, especially if you catch it early spring as the snow's melting. I mean, this river is just immensely powerful. And beyond that, it's got gorgeous, gorgeous paved riding up and over the Going to the Sun Road, one of my favorite rides in the United States. It's just a beautiful place with just stunning vistas. You know, you get up to the top of some of these peaks and you can just see as far as the eye can see. There's glaciers off in the distance, and it's a beautifully constructed road. I think that's one of the things that when I was in that park I really found surprising, was that I found it difficult to decide, should I be looking at the beautiful scenery off to the side here, or should I be looking at like this very unique road construction? It's actually quite a marvel how they built this road. And you know, as you're twisting through the Going to the Sun Road, you get these glimpses of the road and how it's shored up, and it's just a very cool place. And I think Glacier National Park is just a quintessential national park, especially for a mountain landscape. Definitely one of my favorites, and instantly one of my favorites. And number 4 on the list of my favorite national parks is down in Texas, and this is Big Bend National Park. There's a couple of things I really like about this park, but the riding in this area is stunning. The River Road, I think it's Highway 170, absolutely gorgeous. It takes you through Big Bend State Park, which, by the way, if you go down there, I think it's better to camp in the state park. It's a little more remote and off the beaten track. It's a little easier to get away from people in the state park. Beautiful river going through it, a lot of tall mountains, a lot of great riding, and I think one of the other things that makes this park so unique is just how remote and far away from everything it is. And so part of the appeal to that is, well, number one, you're getting away from people, and it's not a very heavily trafficked area, although it does get crowded. It's a national park, but not like some of the other ones. And also because it's so far out away from anything, the stars in this park are some of the best I've seen in this country. And aside from that, another neat feature to Big Bend is its location. It's surrounded by some really cool towns and ghost towns. You got Marfa, which is kind of like an artsy area with some pretty interesting installation pieces. You also have Terlingua, which is a pretty cool town, and a lot of neat stuff going on over there. I will say, if you're riding a motorcycle to it, no matter what direction you're coming from, there is an element of work involved to get there. It is really, really out in the middle of nowhere, but I think that adds to its appeal as well, because, you know, as you're getting through this, you know, not extremely exciting terrain, and then all of a sudden you get into the park and it's just like the stark contrast of kind of bland to absolutely stunning. There's some neat rock features here, the river, like I said. This park has a lot to offer, a lot of hiking, and it's just a beautiful place. So Big Bend National Park in Texas. So I want to take a quick break from this video and talk real quick about one of this channel's longtime sponsors, Surviveware. They're a small family-owned business. They got a lot of great products. As always, their link is in the description box down below. A lot of cool stuff like this survival kit and a lot of other stuff, so go check them out. Number 5, this is actually a twofer. It's Kings Canyon and Sequoia, and the reason I'm counting the two as one is because they are conjoined national parks. They're literally attached to each other. To get into Kings Canyon, you have to go through Sequoia. Now, what I like about Kings Canyon, and I think that is more so my favorite, is that it's like a mini Yosemite Valley. And you get all the best parts of Yosemite, but it's a lot less crowded. The ride into the park through the canyon is one of my favorite rides. And the views never stop. You know, you're up on the edge of a cliff just twisting through the mountains. There's beautiful, beautiful water there, waterfalls. Kings Canyon down in the valley, there's some excellent hiking. It's, you know, beautiful mountains, and just the smell there is incredible, the trees and everything. And Sequoia. I think if you're gonna, you know, if you're looking for a cross-section of all the different features in North America, I think one of the things you absolutely have to include is the enormous trees. So the Sequoia trees are absolutely gargantuan. They're like the biggest thing I've ever seen in nature. And, you know, there's some that you can walk through. They're hollowed out like the bark of a tree, and it's like a tunnel that you could almost drive a vehicle through. You know, the redwoods are also beautiful, but I think the sequoias are much more just impressive in size. So yeah, Kings Canyon and Sequoia, and even the ride going in and up and over Sequoia, I mean, what a cool ride. You know, you start at pretty low elevation, you get up pretty high. I've seen it be t-shirt weather down below and like snow on top. So it's quite a change in elevation, which makes for a great ride. And then on the back side of Sequoia is one of my favorite campsites. It's Mineral King, And the ride out there is super treacherous. It's like a one-lane, two-way traffic, but one lane, super narrow, twisty road. And you get up there and there's some gorgeous big trees and a creek and just so much up there. It's just a really beautiful place. The Sierra Nevadas in general, I think, are one of my favorite mountain ranges in the U.S. Although I'm not knocking the Rockies and definitely not knocking the Appalachian Mountains, but something special to me about the Sierra Nevadas. I don't know what it is. It's the combination of the big trees and it's just a stunning area anyway. So Kings Canyon and Sequoia was an easy choice to put that on my top 5 list. And I do have an honorable mention for my 5 top favorites, and that is Theodore Roosevelt National Park. Now this kind of captures a slightly different area. It's a lot of Badlands type stuff, which I think is a cool feature. If you don't know what Badlands are, they're kind of like sandstone, colored rocks and like interesting rock formations. Very unique environment. Something else I really love about Theodore Roosevelt National Park is the wildlife there. You can see bison, you can see wild horses, and just so many other animals out there. And it's just such a rugged, unforgiving environment. It really captures this wild nature of national parks. And so, yeah, I mean, not to mention that, there's a lot of history there. Of course, it was a very important place to Theodore Roosevelt, who had a big part to play in the national parks and protecting them. So it's just a really cool place, and I think if you're interested in going to see national parks, I think this one is definitely worth adding to your list. I don't think it's the most beautiful, most impressive scenery-wise, although there are some interesting features there. I just think it's a very wild place, a lot of interesting wildlife and things like that. So those are the 5, 6, 7, my top 7 apparently, favorite national parks. I am going to do a follow-up to this because, to be honest with you, I love all the national parks, but there are definitely some that stand out more than others. So I am going to do a follow-up, and that'll be the 5 honorable mentions or runner-ups to the top 5. So we'll talk about a few of the other parks and their features and why I think they're good for motorcycle travelers. That is it for today. I hope you guys got something out of this video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss anything. Miss any motorcycle traveling inspiration or tips and tricks to help you guys have better motorcycle trips. Anyways, that's it for me today. I will catch you guys soon.